by this president. I'm a former friend of Donald Trump. I work with them. I made money with him. Personally, it would have served me better to still stay on his side. Why would you believe after he gets Black votes, his whole goal from 3 years ago was to siphon 20% of Black male votes to cross over to vote to support him? Yes. Why would we believe that he has, once he gets reelected, he will follow through with any of these plans, as opposed to Joe Biden and Kamala, who would be in their first term and be more indebted to do the right thing to get reelected for a second term? Right. Why should we believe that Donald Trump would actually follow through? That's a legit question that I have.
He ain't followed through on.
I mean, I don't know. You're gonna have to figure that out, because I'm not sure if he's gonna do it or not. I'm not sure what any of these guys are gonna do. All I know is we got to push our agenda, no matter who's in there. And in a perfect world, the Biden campaign would have brought me in and we would have really talked about the plan, and they would have did, great things to their plans to specifically target Black people, but they chose not to, and that's fine. The thing is, I'm not a supporter of neither one of them.
No, I'm saying
that's what's the problem. I'm an independent person.
You'll have a conversation with the administration if Biden wins and Kamala wins. It's not too late. So I don't think it's fair to dismiss what they are. They're not in power yet. So they really can't say. They really can't say and promise things because they're not yet in power. We're not even in power in Congress.
You can't make campaign promises. But why? And they have. That's what the plan.
Make the promise when they're in office.
Well, they put out the Lift Every Voice Can Sing plan. That is their promise to America and to the world. That is their promise. So the thing is, you can always promise the people who put you in power something more than what you just came up with. You gotta, especially when there's so much more that needs to be done. And he knows that it's so much that falls short in that plan when it comes to actually helping Black people, minority, people of color, diversity. All those are trick words, and Black people don't necessarily get a tenth of that. So we have to really be smart and really make sure that money is touching the hands of the people who have really struggled in this country for hundreds of years.
I have a question, Cube. You said that the Biden campaign didn't reach out to you, and you said they did.
Urban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially for those moments, and especially for those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. If you are new, welcome to the Bougie Oreo, where I give my opinion and perspective on history, current events, entertainment, and other stories as it relates to Black culture. So today I want to talk about our president, Mr. Joe Biden. The first clip that I played at the beginning of this video was from the show Cocktails with the Queens. And this was an interview with Ice Cube. For those of you who don't know, sometime last year, Ice Cube had the gall, the audacity, the nerve to try to step up as a leader for the Black community and work to put out a plan, the Contract with Black America, where it lists out several demands and needs for improving the economic standing of the Black community. I know, the nerve. How dare we ask for tangibles? After he released this plan, he reached out to the political campaigns to try to, get some traction on this plan and get some of our politicians to buy in and hopefully eventually turn this into a bill and pass it. Now, the Biden campaign said, you know what, we already got our Lift Every Voice and Sing plan. Let's wait till after the election. If we win, maybe we'll talk to you. The Trump campaign said, all right, let's talk. And apparently after meeting with Ice Cube, they took some of the things that Ice Cube had in his plan and put it in the Trump Platinum Plan and, advertised that they met with Ice Cube and Ice Cube helped them with the plan. So, as you can imagine, Ice Cube got dragged through the mud for daring to meet with that racist, xenophobic, orange-skinned Donald Trump. And that clip at the beginning of the video that I showed was just from one of the interviews that he did. He got dragged by Roland Martin, The Breakfast Club. All of the media made the rounds trying to drag/cancel Ice Cube for daring to meet with Trump to talk about the contract for Black America to improve the economic standing of the Black community. Ice Cube's defense was, hey, I'm going to meet with anybody. It doesn't matter who's in power. I am going to meet with anybody because if anybody can help push this through, I'm going to work with them. One of the prevailing arguments, especially from Cocktails and the Queens, is, all right, well, why would Joe Biden meet with you? They're not in power yet. You have to wait until he gets in power. Then he's going to thank the Black community and he'll work with us and pass this bill. All right. So, fast forward post the election. That was the second clip that I played. Joe Biden calls out and says, the Black community had my back and I'm going to have yours. All right. Joe Biden said he's going to have our back because we helped him get elected. And all of the news cycle was about how the Black community showed out in overwhelming numbers, even with all of the voter suppression and all of the racism and the poll watching. We broke records and we showed up and voted for Joe Biden and we got him into the office. Thank you, Black people. Thank you, Stacey Abrams. We did the damn thing. And Joe Biden said he's going to have our back because we had his. All right. Fast forward a couple weeks later when Joe Biden had his meeting with a bunch of Black leaders, or quote unquote Black leaders. And I watched the whole almost 2-hour video of this one. This was like a waste of time because no one in that meeting really asked for anything tangible for the Black community. Some folks asked for, more diversity in his cabinet selections and stuff like that. But I'm talking about tangible benefits for the Black community, things that are going to improve my economic standing and the economic standing of the majority of Black Americans. They didn't really ask for anything tangible. But the diamond that came out of that meeting is Joe Biden basically said, all right, thanks. Y'all can go sit down now. And by the way, if y'all want anything, y'all gonna have to work with the Hispanics because they outnumber you.
If we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
All right, thanks for having our backs, Joe. So then Joe Biden gets into office and he's, starting to aggressively work on, COVID and pushing all of his agenda. And every now and then, I drop in and watch one of the press conferences and yada, yada, yada. Later on in March, Joe Biden has his first press conference where they mostly talked about immigration. His re-election campaign and infrastructure and COVID was sprinkled into the press conference, but it was really mostly about immigration and some of the issues at the border. And the press mostly asked him about immigration and the situation at the border. And yeah, immigration and the situation at the border is pretty rough. It's really bad and it needs to be under control. And I think Joe Biden enabled the situation to worsen with his election, but that's another video. So we talked about immigration and I started to think, hey, I haven't heard about the Lift Every Voice plan and I haven't heard about anything for Black Americans. I wonder, if he's really working on that. And I also wonder why the media isn't asking him anything about that because, he said he was going to have our backs. So I'm going to sit back and wait a little bit longer. He's in power now. So, maybe we just got to be a little bit patient. Maybe we need to roll out COVID vaccines a little bit more. And now, last week, Joe Biden gave his first address to Congress. And this is, to mark his first 100 days in office, unifying the country, building back better, bringing us all together and improving all of our economic standing. And I'm listening to this address, and we're talking about the American Jobs Plan. We're talking about raising minimum wage. We're talking about, protecting the rights of unions and families and climate change and the hate crimes bill against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and, more benefits and equality for the LGBTQRS Americans and, violence against women, gun control, and immigration. I'm like, all right, first address to Congress, been in office for 100 days, and we still haven't heard anything about the Lift Every Voice plan, even though that wasn't specifically for Black Americans, it was for everybody, but they were kind of marketing it towards Black Americans. Haven't heard anything about this plan, and we haven't heard about any other plans to improve the quality of life for Black Americans, and we haven't heard about Joe's promise to work on systemic racism or police accountability or to release all of those folks that are in jail for drug offenses. We ain't heard about none of that stuff that they were marketing towards Black America. So, 100 days in, I think it's safe to say that Joe Biden does not care about Black people.
George Bush doesn't care about Black people.
So I'm going to say it again. Joe Biden does not care about Black people. And I don't think I need to wait another 3 years and 265 days to wait for him to carry out on his promise to have our backs. Your actions so far and your priorities policy-wise so far reminds me that, as always, we are at the bottom of the totem pole. And this is a situation of our own making. We did it to ourselves. I'm sorry. We did. We did it to ourselves. Leading up to the election, several thinkers, Black thinkers and leaders, and even some celebrities have come out and said, hey, we should not just give away our votes. We should sell our votes to the highest bidder. We need to make them come to us and earn our votes. And the media response and the media push Black leaders have all said, no. We need to vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the only one that's going to look out for Black America. And this is the tale that they've been telling us since the dawn of time, or at least since the 1960s, is that the Republicans are racist. The Democrats are the only ones who care about Black people. So we all need to vote Democrat. I don't trust either political party. Everyone is in it to secure their bag, which is why I think we as a Black community need to start being more strategic about who we vote for so we can secure our bag. Ice Cube got dragged through the mud for attempting to get the candidates who are running for president to commit to pursuing tangible benefits for the economic growth of the Black community. And I read his plan. I don't agree with everything in the plan, but overall, I think it's a pretty good plan. And I am by no means an economist or an expert in economic development, but you can read that plan and say, oh man, that'd be great. More job skills training and more funding to schools and in Black communities and, buying from Black businesses and Hollywood having to hire Black people and Black creators. There's a lot of good things that I think will benefit the Black community in that plan. And he was shamed for trying to get politicians to commit to that plan or buy into that plan ahead of the election. Us Black folks can ask for stuff ahead of the election, but every other group, every other interest group is allowed to endorse their candidate and demand what they want. Joe Biden and Donald Trump ran around meeting with all the union leaders, all the restaurant workers in, Vegas and in the hospitality industry. They met with, immigration groups and Latin groups and Asian groups and, Jewish groups, all trying to kind of get the endorsement, find out what does each constituency want? What can we give you? What can we champion to get their endorsement? But nah. Black people can't do this. We need to wait until they get in office and then beg for the scraps. I think the lesson here for us is to make those demands and start exercising our own power, not just in the national elections, but with our local leaders, with our congressional leaders, and down the line. And no longer stay affiliated to one party, but to play the field. And it doesn't matter if we like them or not. We don't have to like the people we work for. We need to secure our bag and get the benefits that we can get no matter who is in office and who we're working with. It's pretty evident that sitting and waiting for our turn doesn't work. So let's stop repeating this cycle of waiting our turn and hoping that if we vote for you, then you'll come back and return the favor. I want you to notice how quickly after the election, there were all these stories that popped up about hate crimes against Asians, especially related to COVID. Everyone's attacking Asians and blaming them for COVID and just attacking Asians off the street. And notice how quickly Joe Biden championed and Congress then passed the Hate Crimes Act to protect Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And this bill passed with overwhelming support. I think when it went to the Senate, 94 out of 100 senators voted in favor of passing this act. And not to say that it's not needed. I think no one should have to deal with hate crimes. But notice how no one told the Asians, hey, y'all need to go work with Black people because they outnumber y'all. No, they don't have to work with us. What about for the unions? You know, we're beefing up the rights for groups to organize. No one told the unions, hey, y'all need to go work with Black people and hire more Black people and get more Blacks in leadership in your unions before we do something for you. No, they only tell that to us. So I think it's time we realize that Joe Biden does not care about Black people. And I'll have more videos on this to come forward, but the media doesn't care about Black people because the media hasn't even asked them about this, meeting with Ice Cube or the contract for Black America or the Lift Every Voice plan. The media completely forgot to ask about things for Black folks. We need to start fighting for ourselves because all of these groups will use us and use our emotions and pain and history to get us to do their bidding or vote the way they want us to vote or champion other efforts that they want to push forward. But when it comes to what the Black community needs, no one's there really championing our needs. So we need to start being a little bit more critical and a little bit more ruthless with the agendas that we pursue and how we work with people. That's all I have to say for this video. Please leave any comments that you have below and feel free to hit the like and subscribe and have a great week.